Over the weekend, the Department of Health announced there were 10,000 more cases of COVID-19, in part due to informal get-togethers.
This is exponential growth. We are now seeing the rate of growth that we had predicted and feared.
While the commissioner says new cases are growing faster than tests, testing is one tool to try to gain control, along with masking and social distancing. The governor today showing off a new saliva testing site at the Minneapolis Convention Center. He says is barrier, cost, and pain-free. They are especially interested in testing 18 to 35-year-olds.
We have a really particular interest in trying to proactively find those demographic groups that we know have got a lot of positivity. There are a lot of folks who are in fact positive but don't know it.
The governor said another statewide shutdown is not necessary, but plans Tuesday to announce a more targeted approach to limit how certain people are able to spread the virus.
Where are they and what are the incidents of some of this social spread happening?
He encourages everyone, including that age group, to get tested, either at the convention center or at the 11 other testing sites that he says will be opening across the state in the next couple weeks, including at the airport. Jennifer Hoff, KARE 11 News.